Okay, you are considering going to Tenerife, but before you plan your trip to Tenerife, here are things that you should know. Let's get into it. Hello, my name is Clementine Afana, and I'm a travel writer who focuses on adventure and sustainability. I recently returned from a press trip to Tenerife where I was surprised about what the island has to offer. I made a complete video of my trip to Tenerife to show you what it looks like, so you can also be inspired to plan your trip. You can check out the video in this section of my video, and if you want to know the things that really blew my mind about Tenerife, I'm also going to include the link in the description of this video because I made another video called Things That Surprised Me About Tenerife. Now that you are planning to do your trip to Tenerife, I want to tell you what are the key things that you need to know before planning your trip. The first thing is Tenerife is a year-round destination. Yes, there is no winter in Tenerife. So if you are coming from Canada like me and you are looking to escape the winter, you definitely should consider going to Tenerife anytime from October to April because it's always warm. In fact, a lot of Europeans go to Tenerife because they want to escape the winter. Yes, people from France, people from Germany, people from Switzerland, even within Europe, they leave their country to go to Tenerife, the Canary Island, one of the Canary Islands, just to escape the winter. So when you go there, you almost feel like, you know what, you actually don't even feel like you're in Europe because around winter time, it's winter everywhere in Europe, but not in Tenerife. So I love that. I love that it's a year-round destination. And if you are looking to escape the winter, you should definitely consider traveling to Tenerife. The second thing that you need to know about Tenerife is how to get there. Now, if you are coming from Canada, for you to get to Tenerife, you need to travel with United Airlines, which has seasonal flights to the island with a layover in Newark. That's how I traveled to Tenerife from Toronto. So I took my flight from Toronto to Tenerife with a layover in Newark. And that flight was operated by United. What I love about that flight was the fact that, first of all, I got 2 checked bags and I got 2 meals in flight, right? And a lot of airlines currently, right now, even if you do an international trip, they will not give you 2 checked bags. So even though I didn't need 2 checked bags, it was nice to know that I have to check bags in case I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna stay here for 2 weeks. No, I wasn't there for 2 weeks. But just to let you know, flying with United actually gives you that advantage. And on my flight, actually, I met some people who were flying from Houston. So they flew with United from Houston to Newark, and then from Newark to Tenerife. So we were on the same flight. So if you are coming from the US or from the UK, you can get to Tenerife if you book your flight with United, and they're going to take you to the hub at the Newark airport, and then from Newark you can get a direct flight to Tenerife. The next thing that you need to know before you travel to Tenerife is you need to plan to rent a car in Tenerife. The reason being, Tenerife is an island, right? And a lot of things are close together but also widespread. If you've lived in the island or if you've been to the islands before, you will know what I mean. But if you haven't, let me explain it. Close together in the sense that the island is small, and so if you are like within a community or within a region, it will be easy to access certain things. But some of the best sites to see, right, are not necessarily within the same place. So for my itinerary in Tenerife, for example, we did a lot of outdoors, a lot of adventures, a lot of like being in nature. And so for us to be able to go to those places, yes, we were using a tour guide for everything that we did. But if you plan to do some adventures on your own, you probably need to drive. Like, you're not going to get a bus to get you to where you need to go. So plan to rent a car. And I'm going to include a link with recommendations of where you can find the best resources for you to plan your trip to Tenerife in the description box of this video. The next thing you need to know about Tenerife, I made a little bit of an allusion to that in the previous point that I just made, is you must travel, and when you get there, you must plan to work with local guides. During my trip to Tenerife, we did a lot of outdoors, right? And then we went to like hike on the Teno, I think we did the Teno National Park hike. We also did the Anaga Rural Park hike, which was the Tabono hike. We went to see the Teide mountain, the Teide volcano. We did some like snorkeling. Some people did whale watching, some people did diving and so forth. And it's best for you to do those experiences with local guides. Why? Because they know the area, they know the landscape the best. I heard stories about tourists who would like come with their own guides to explore. Don't do that. Don't do that. Work with local guides who are certified, who know the island, who know where you are going, who know the landscape, who do that for a living honestly, it will save you not just money, time, but also heartache. The other advantage of working with local guides is that if something happens while you're having your experience happens to you during one of the tours, then you can actually be covered under their insurance because they are certified operators with the ministry and with the government of Tenerife. So it's really important for you when you go there to just plan, like, take out all that stress of trying to figure out things yourself. Work with local guides for every single experience that you want, but not just local guides, certified local guides. In the description box of this video, I'm going to include a link and information about the guides that we use for our trip to Tenerife, and they just made our experience the best experience I could ever. The next thing that you need to know before you visit Tenerife is you need to pack for different climates. In my previous video where I talk about things that surprised me about Tenerife, I mentioned the fact that Tenerife is an island of multiple microclimates. What do I mean by that? By microclimates, I mean that, you know, depending on where you are in the island, the weather is going to feel different. Literally within the same day, we had like cold weather, we had like mildly cold weather, we had hot weather, we had like mildly hot weather within the same day, and it depends on where you are in the island. Why is this happening? It happens because, first of all, this is a volcanic island, and so there are different points of elevation throughout the island. It's very mountainous. Even on some of the hikes that we did, within the same hike, depending on where you are along your hike, you feel different ways. You can feel like hot, you can feel like you're hiking through a cloud. Even the nature that you look at actually looks different. In some areas, it looks more dry. In some areas, it looks more green and so forth. I think it's a beautiful thing to kind of like show the biodiversity, the climate diversity, and the different biospheres that you have within the island. And it's something that you need to know when you go there because it would then advise you how to pack, right? So you need to know how to pack for your adventures. Whereas if you were, let's say, hiking somewhere in the US in the summer, you know that you're probably going to be fully warm, right? In Tenerife, even if you hike in the summer, some points in your hike could be cold, right? So it's important to know that when you're traveling to Tenerife, you need to pack for microclimates. So you need to have like warm clothes and also clothes that you will wear if it gets a little bit chilly. Not cold, winter cold, no, but like chilly. So like for your hikes, you will have like long sleeves, you know, thermal tops and things like that. Another thing that surprised me about Tenerife was the fact that it's an island that has so many experiences that you can have. Now, a lot of times when people think about traveling to Tenerife, they think about just like the beach, you know, and even so they actually think about white sand beaches. But let me tell you, because Tenerife is a volcanic island, it actually has black sand beaches, right? But even just beyond the beaches and the resorts and the luxury hotels, I was really surprised to know that Tenerife actually has a lot of adventures. Like there's an adventurous side of Tenerife that people actually don't know about, and I want to tell you all about. So even if you have a vacation to Tenerife that includes like going to the beach, you know, staying at your resort, you know, doing some shopping and things like that, you can also include an adventurous side of the island, an adventurous side of your experience. So you can do like some hikes, you can go kayaking, you can go snorkeling, you can go diving, you can go paragliding, you know, you can do so many other things that would also help you to like stay in shape, explore the outdoors, and just see another part of Tenerife. That's why they say Tenerife awakens emotions, because child, my emotions were awakened. Another thing that you need to know about Tenerife before you visit is where you want to spend most of your time, because the island is divided into south of Tenerife and north of Tenerife. Why is that important? It's important because there are some experiences that you can only have in the south, and there are some experiences that you can only have in the north, right? So for our part, we spend time in both the north and the south because we wanted to experience the adventurous side where you can do like all of these hikes and all of these you know, outdoors adventures, but we also want to experience a little bit of the beach and the resort life, right? So it's important for you to do a little bit of research about what each part of the island offers. The north versus the south, and I wrote a complete article about how to plan your trip to Tenerife on my blog. I'm going to include a link in the description box of this video so you can actually use that to help you plan your upcoming trip to Tenerife. The thing that you need to know about Tenerife is the fact that even though there are a lot of popular tourist areas, there are also some hidden local gems. And that's one of the reasons why I was really grateful that for our trip to Tenerife, we were able to work with expert local guides, because some of the hikes that we went on, those are not like hikes that you would see tourists on. And you know the hikes that you see tourists on, right? For example, we went to the Anaga Rural Park, which is different from a national park, right? You are more likely to see tourists at a national park, but a rural park, less likely. And in my video where I show you my experience in Tenerife, I explain to you why, right? I feel like I had such a great privilege to be able to experience this rural park because not a lot of tourists go there, not a lot of tourists know about this rural park, and we were able to really see a side of Tenerife that people will not normally see unless really you are working with a local expert guide who actually shows you the hidden parts of Tenerife. So definitely check out this video, check out the blog, and make sure you contact the local guides whose information I will put at the bottom of this video at the end. Another thing that you need to know about Tenerife is you need to experience local dishes, and let me tell you why. Historically, the first inhabitants of Tenerife were actually coming from Africa, and we can trace them back to the Berber tribes in Africa. When you go to Tenerife, you're going to learn a lot about the Wanches, right, which were the first inhabitants. Some people will call them the original locals, some people will call them the indigenous, but they actually came from Africa, specifically North Africa, and they came from the Berber tribes in Africa. So those are countries like Niger, for example, right? And so because of that, then the cuisine in Tenerife is a mix of African cuisine and Spanish cuisine, right? Because you know that after that you have the Spanish conquest and the colonization and invasion and everything. So now there are still some traditional dishes in Tenerife that when you go, you need to try them out. For example, the gofio is like a porridge. When the guide was talking about the gofio, I could understand what the gofio is because back home we have that as well. I'm from Cameroon, so we have that as well, and but it's similar. It's not called gofio, but I could relate to that because I know that this is one of the things that we also eat for breakfast, right? They have other recipes, other dishes that when you go to Tenerife, you definitely need to try. And for you to figure it out, ask your local guides what are the traditional dishes that you should eat. You can ask at your hotel what are the traditional dishes that you should eat, because this is not something that you will just know on your own. You need to ask people, and that is one of the reasons why when I travel, I love to work with local expert guides, but I also love to connect with the people, because there are things that you're going to see online, but there are also things that the people are going to tell you, and you need to connect with the people when you go, whether you are going for your luxury vacation or you're going for an outdoors vacation. So definitely local treats and local cuisine you must try in Tenerife. Final thing that you should know about Tenerife before you travel is being on the island gives you an island vibe. And again, if you have traveled to the Caribbean or if you have lived in the Caribbean before, you will know what I mean. But if you haven't, here is what I mean. When you are in Tenerife, you can get kind of like that community feeling. You're feeling that you are surrounded by people who love you and people who care, right? And when I was talking about some of the locals, I was like, you know what? I told them how I was feeling, and specifically our tour guys, I told them how I was feeling, and I told them that I felt that living in the Caribbean, living in Dominica, where I have lived for like 15 plus years, I felt that being in Tenerife. And she explained to me that yes, even though Tenerife is kind of like a part of Spain, you know, the vibe and the experience is different. Like people in Tenerife, actually, when they travel to Spain, to like cities like Barcelona and Madrid, which they call mainland Spain, they are like, you know what, it feels different from when we are on our island. And so I don't know how I can perfectly describe it, but I think it just means that you have to go to Tenerife. There is a kind of like a communal feeling, a conviviality, an island warmth and love that you feel being there. You know, people care in a different way. I don't know, it's different. You have to feel it. You have to feel it. I don't know how I can explain it, but you have to go to Tenerife to feel it. So this wraps up our video, things that you need to know before you travel to Tenerife. Let me know, what was your biggest takeaway? What do you feel like you actually learned the most from this video? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like this kind of content, I would really appreciate if you could like it, share it, and subscribe so that you can be notified of new videos that I post about my adventures around the world. Thank you, and see you in the next video.